The German generals of World War II, often romanticized as masterminds of warfare, but when you peel back the layers, you find a buffet of blunders, ego trips, and a whole lot of bowing to a guy with a funky mustache. Let's dive into the chaos and make it entertaining, shall we? Now before we start, this is a new channel, so if you find my content somewhat interesting, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. 1. The Blitzkrieg boys, we're geniuses. Until we're not. The German generals loved their Blitzkrieg, lightning war. Tanks, planes, and a whole lot of speed. It worked wonders in Poland and France, and they were like, we're unstoppable. Heal us. But then came the Soviet Union, and suddenly, the lightning turned into a slow, painful crawl. Heinz Guderian, the father of modern tank warfare, was all about fast-moving armored divisions. But when Hitler decided to divert tanks to Kiev instead of Moscow in 1941, Guderian threw a fit, but still obeyed. Result? The Germans got stuck in the Russian winter, and their tanks froze faster than a popsicle in Siberia. Genius move, guys. 2. Rommel, the Desert Fox, who forgot to pack water. Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox. He was so good in North Africa that even the British respected him. But here's the thing, Rommel's entire campaign was a logistical nightmare. The man was running on empty, literally. His supply lines were stretched thinner than a piece of overcooked spaghetti, and the Italians, his allies, were about as reliable as a chocolate teapot. Rommel kept begging Hitler for more fuel and tanks, but Hitler was too busy micromanaging the Eastern Front to care. In the end, Rommel got his butt kicked at El Alamein, and the Allies rolled through North Africa like it was a buffet. So much for the Desert Fox, more like the Desert Fox in a trap. 3. Stalingrad, Friedrich Paulus and the art of getting surrounded. Let's talk about Friedrich Paulus, the guy who turned the Sixth Army into a giant sitting duck. Hitler ordered Paulus to take Stalingrad, and Paulus was like, sure, boss. Even though his army was running out of food, ammo, and winter coats. When the Soviets encircled the Sixth Army, Hitler told Paulus to stand firm and fight to the last man. Paulus, instead of pulling a Napoleon and retreating, obeyed like a good little general. The result? 91,000 Germans surrendered, and Paulus became the first German field marshal to ever surrender. Hitler was pissed. He expected Paulus to commit suicide, but Paulus was like, nah, I'm good. He even joined the Soviet anti-Nazi propaganda team. Talk about a career pivot. 4. The July 20th plot, when the generals tried to be action heroes. Some German generals finally realized Hitler was a lunatic and decided to assassinate him. Enter Operation Valkyrie, led by Claus von Stauffenberg. Stauffenberg planted a bomb in Hitler's briefing room, but instead of sticking around to make sure it worked, he left. The bomb went off, but Hitler survived because the table leg shielded him. Yes, a table leg foiled the entire plot. The aftermath was a bloodbath. Hitler executed everyone even remotely involved, including Erwin Rommel, who wasn't even part of the plot but knew about it. Rommel got the honor of committing suicide with cyanide to protect his family. Not exactly the heroic ending the Desert Fox deserved. 5. Hitler's yes men, the generals who couldn't say no. Most German generals were terrified of Hitler. They'd nod along to his insane plans, even when they knew they were doomed. Wilhelm Keitel, Hitler's chief of staff, was nicknamed Lackeitel, meaning lackey, because he never disagreed with the Führer. When Hitler ordered the invasion of the Soviet Union, Keitel was like, sure thing, boss. Even though it meant fighting a two-front war. Spoiler, it didn't end well. Alfred Jodl, another yes-man, helped plan Operation Barbarossa, which turned into a disaster of epic proportions. But hey, at least he got to sign Germany's unconditional surrender in 1945. Silver linings, right? 6. The Eastern Front, A masterclass in how to lose a war. The German generals thought they could take on the Soviet Union with their fancy tanks and superior tactics. But they forgot one tiny detail: Russia is huge. Erich von Manstein, one of the better generals, pulled off some impressive tactical wins, but even he couldn't fix Hitler's obsession with holding every inch of ground. When Manstein suggested a strategic retreat, Hitler screamed, "Nein!" and fired him. The Germans ended up losing millions of men on the Eastern Front, and their once mighty army was reduced to a ragged, starving mess. But hey, at least they looked cool in their uniforms. 7. The final act, a symphony of failures. By 1944, the German generals were basically putting out fires with gasoline. Walter Model, the Führer's fireman, was sent to fix every disaster zone, from Normandy to the Ardennes. But even he couldn't stop the Allies from steamrolling through Europe. The Battle of the Bulge was Hitler's last big gamble, and it failed spectacularly. The generals knew it was a terrible idea, but did they say no? Of course not. They just saluted and marched their men into another meat grinder. Conclusion: the myth of German military genius. The German generals of World War II were a mixed bag of talent, incompetence, and sheer bad luck. Sure, they had their moments of brilliance, but they also made some of the dumbest strategic decisions in military history. And let's not forget their biggest failure, letting a guy with a Charlie Chaplin mustache call all the shots. In the end, they weren't the invincible masterminds of legend, they were just men, flawed and fallible, trying, and failing, to win a war they never should have started. And that, my friends, is the tragicomic tale of the German generals of World War II. Help a small channel grow. Please like and subscribe.